I try and answer little questions that I find under my videos now and again. So somebody asked me if I could share my makeup routine, and it's not a very extensive makeup routine, so I'm quite happy to share it. I'm getting ready to go with Steve to visit my mother-in-law. And I haven't seen my mother-in-law for quite a while. For those people who have been watching my videos for a long time, you'll remember I made a video, I'm going to link it up here, about the problems that I had within the family after marrying Steve. So when I met Steve, we were both, I just turned 30 and he was, I think, 31 or so. Now, as you know, I use number 7 Restore and Renew foundation. I'd love to try a more expensive foundation, maybe from Dior or something like that, but I haven't got round to it because ever since the lockdowns, the towns seem to be on their last legs. I've got quite dark circles around my eyes, and I try and pay close attention to the coverage there. So I kind of put my foundation on in layers. I want to get a stippling brush. This is a different kind of foundation brush, but I'll get round to getting a stippling brush. When I go and pick up my HRT, I can pick up a stippling brush because I know that Boots sell them. And that's where I go to get my medication. That's going very well so far. I don't have any problems with it or strange side effects. Anyway, back to the story. Well, Stephen has, in my opinion, and evidently in their opinion, got a very warm and loving nature, and this made him very close, to have quite close ties with his family, who consisted of his mother and his sister. Number 7, Instant Radiance. This is a great twist and brush on type of thing. And I just put some on. And I do that again in layers, because I like to put it top and bottom, you know, to try and counterbalance the dark circles that I have and the pigmentation, simply because I think that putting on this pale colour first makes the eyeshadow that I use, that the colour that I choose, more true, rather than putting it straight onto my skin. This is kind of the old school way of putting your foundation on first, but it works well for me and I like the finished effect. So when I met him, I got quite a mixed reception, I'd say. I think they were initially amused that he'd found a new girlfriend, you know, but as soon as they realized that it was actually serious and we were wanting to get married, their attitude seemed to change somewhat. So I've got this Maybelline palette. You can see it's loved, and you can see which colours I use. I really, now that I'm older, stay away from the darker colours on my eyes. I never put black or brown or grey eyeliner, and I never use those colours in my powders either. There are these kind of shimmery colours. There's a slightly darker mink brown, which is a grey brown, and a little bit more light. So I go in with the lighter one on quite a fluffy brush, and I just put it all over my top lid. It's got its own sparkle, but it's not over the top. Put it all over and into my brow bone here. Well, as soon as they realised that the Turvas were actually going to get married and try and make a go of the relationship, for some reason they didn't seem to be happy about it. Now I admit, you know, I already had children when I met him, but we were in our 30s. With a smaller brush, I just put on the colour underneath. I never use a pencil. I feel that I can control and layer up the colour with a brush so much better. And if I feel that I want to go a little bit darker, or to add a little bit more highlighter to the colour in general, it makes it quite easy to go over the top. So they started to sort of play up a little bit, you know. There used to always be some kind of family emergency or something when we were supposed to either meet or something like that. Anyway, the long and the short of it is that I wasn't really their favourite person. And objectively speaking, I don't think that I'd done anything wrong myself to warrant that. I just think that they were very attached to their guy. I had 2 daughters, so I don't know about this mother-son dynamic. Those of you who have had boys, you really must let me know. I'm going to go in with a paler colour right here, just on the inside of my lids. Well, we finally did get married, and I moved into his flat. And we kind of tried to get on, you know, but it just wasn't to be. So for many years after that. So I like this kind of minky, slightly darker shade than my own skin, but not too dark. You can see I've covered the whole of my top lid, and I've gone underneath as well. And now I'm going to go in with my latest mascara, Define and Enhance, number 7 again, because I go into Boots, number 7 is there, and I get to see their products. But I've tried a lot of stuff in my time, but I find number 7 is quite good. Steve's mum was always quite cold towards me, and in the years when we were bringing up the children, I did have a lot of problems, but specifically with his sister. It was with his sister, really, that the problem lay, because I just felt that she was quite controlling and critical of the way that I was dealing with my children, and I didn't like that, so we didn't really see eye to eye in that respect. We fell out and then started talking several times, but anyway, the long and the short of it is eventually my hair fell out and I decided to wear wigs. So as my hair fell out in 2020, at that time I wasn't actually speaking to either his mother or his sister, but as a result of a couple of events, I started to be back in touch with his mum. And my hair continued to fall out, and I embarked on my wig journey and my YouTube channel, and just enjoying buying a whole load of wigs, you know, all different types of wigs. And we got back in touch, and Stephen kind of smoothed the path just to let her know that I had hair problems and that I don't know actually what he said. All I know is when I met her again for the first time after a few years, she assumed that I had extensions in because I was wearing my John Renault topper. And I didn't tell her it was a topper. I don't think she even knows what a topper is. And I don't think she's ever worn a wig. She probably doesn't know anybody who wears a wig. I've always felt like this sort of weirdo. My personality is very different to theirs. Rimmel eyebrow pencil, as you can see, it's a very, very light brown. That's another thing I'm quite particular about. I don't want to be using any dark colours to define my eyes, although I do use black mascara, of course. I'm trying to have my tea. I'm thinking if I drink enough tea, I'll start to feel normal again. I don't think it's working. So I sharpen it and then I go in and I just fill in my eyebrows. A nice light colour that's not going to overwhelm my face. But now that we're back on speaking terms and we're happy to be back on speaking terms, I still feel a little bit nervous when it's time for me to go and see her. And sometimes it gets in the way of me actually going to visit her, which is a terrible shame. The reason it gets in the way is because Stephen's sister lives across the road and sometimes she just lets herself in when we're there. Sometimes I wonder whether she waits to see that we're there or spots that we're there and thinks, oh, this is my time to go in and see what's going on. The last time I was there, she came in and I was wearing one of the Uniwig's real hair toppers. It was a low density topper actually. Okay, so I think that kind of establishes my eyebrows, but doesn't quite overwhelm them. I hope you agree. And over the top, I use the Olivia Hale Gel Brow. It's got a tiny little brush and I just brush it over my brows. It darkens them a little bit more and sets them. And picks up those little hairs also that maybe are a little bit blonde. Puts a little bit of extra colour on there, which I appreciate. And this is the end result. Nothing overwhelming, and that's the way I like it. Yeah. So I'm very happy with the way my eyes are right now. And as far as blushes goes, I have got a little bit of everything. I've got powder, I've got cream, I have a sort of like this sort of situation, all different types. But I recently received a Made by Mitchell liquid blusher called Blush. And basically, as you can see, it's a little bit of a tan colour, you know, just to keep it neutral right now. That's how I want it right now. As the spring progresses, and you know, the sun comes out a little bit more, I certainly will wear stronger colours on my cheeks, etc. But for the moment, I'm happy with this. I've never really gone in for contouring or anything. I've never worn that kind of makeup. I want something... I find that all of that contouring, etc., very intense, quite over the top for my needs. I like my makeup to be not subtle, because I really enjoy makeup and I enjoy putting quite a lot of colour. I just don't want the colour to be too strong. Although I have taken to wearing a nice red lip often. Just to pad out that colour a little bit so that it's not too brown. I just wipe off the excess around my temple area and I blend it in. Fairy Kitten, Made by Mitchell. This one is a liquid blusher also, all right? It has a neutral base. You won't be able to see it here, but it has got some pink glitter in it. Let's just put a little bit of just on my eyes and let's see what we get. I love this pink, this particular pink. It appears quite a muted pink. It's not too bright, but it gives a little bit of colour and glitter, and I love that. I guess I'm just a glitter girl. And I like to be a glitter girl. I want to embrace what I like, how I want to look. This is absolutely my time. I'm putting on a neutral colour. This is Revlon. The colour is called Seduction. Although it's neutral, a little bit darker than skin colour, it's very pretty. The colour itself is very pretty. And I'm outlining my lips with just a little bit of a darker colour than what I've got on. Some people outline before they put the lipstick on. I always outline after because I want to be in control of the finished shape of my lips. And in some areas I want to go outside of the natural line of my lips, and in other areas I don't. But I never go right into the corner because that will give you a very cakey look very quickly. And because I love glitter and I love the muted pink of this blush, I go in just on the bottom lip, just in the centre. To give the hint of pink, the glitter and the lighter sparkle. Not that it's very sparkly actually, it's quite reasonable. I like the way that it makes my lips look. So whenever I get an invitation to go and visit my mother-in-law, I always have a little bit of a crisis of confidence. And I always think, what is best to do? Do I just wear whatever I like that I would normally be wearing that day hair-wise, or do I wear a topper and just try and make it as low density and natural as is humanly possible? The thing is, I'm 55, you know, I'm not a kid anymore. We're both grown-ass women now. And if one grown-ass woman wants to wear wigs, even if I wanted to wear a top hat with a flower on top, I should be able to do that. I've heard before that women who get to a certain age suddenly become extremely tired of people pleasing. And I can really understand that. I'm so tired of people pleasing. You know, I grew tired of people pleasing with people outside of the family a long time ago. But now I'm tired of people pleasing with people within the family. I'm also very hot. This is more of a cotton top, a little bit easier to wear, much cooler. Then there must come a time in life where you have to think, okay, what do I want to do and how do I want to do it? You know, we all have different personalities. It's unreasonable of anybody to expect other people to be just like them. I think that's part of the reason why I found it so difficult to get on with my sister-in-law is because any difference between us, she could not tolerate. I want to tell you about the hair that I'm choosing for today and how it came about, actually, because yesterday I thought I'm going to actually be at home all day, and I don't want to, you know, you've got home wigs, house wigs, and you've got going out wigs. Bridgitte, Jaclyn Smith, had a very funky, stiff, straight fringe like this. It just went down like this. I will see if I can find a photograph. There must be something. And I thought, well, I'll wear that. And then I thought, well, seeing as I'm wearing it, I'm going to try and wet the fringe and curl it in. It's a synthetic fibre. I thought I'll just take the chance. And I did. And she was transformed. Let me show you. And by the way, somebody else asked what sort of cap. Have a look. Open wefts, top and sides, with a central part of closed lace there. Probably that's where some permatease is. It's not too heavy on permatease, it's not a ridicule. So I brush the long fibres away and I'm left with a much better fringe than I had before. So a little bit of trimming with my trusty scissors. I could just go in easy, just a little bit here, right in the center. And I allowed the side bits to be longer and to blend in nicely with the sides. Let's give her a brush. She's naturally layered, this Bridgitte. For days that I want to wear something long, but I know I'm wearing, you know, maybe slightly thicker clothes, I want to be able to wear something, and if I kind of ruin it or you know, affect the fibres on a jumper or something, it's not going to be the end of the world. So she's not going to be very easy to puff up like a Noriko wig, but I can feel the permatease here on the top where the hairs naturally separate, and a little bit here on the sides too. Yeah, so she's not flat, and I love the way when the fibres sort of fluff up like this, you can get a halo of that colour. Do you see? It looks very natural because real hair does that quite naturally. I went to dye my hair the other day and realised that I didn't really have any hair dye downstairs. So that's going to be another thing I pick up when I go and get my HRT prescription. So I've come to the conclusion really that when I go to visit my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law comes in, I'm just going to have to face it out. She won't know anybody else who wears hair. And I know she'll probably go back to her house and maybe have a little bit of a laugh at my expense. It wouldn't be the first time. And that's what it's going to have to be, I think. I think it's just going to have to be that, and that's going to do. You can't control other people. You can only control yourself. And if other people want to have the kind of mindset that's going to make others feel uncomfortable. Lovely nails. LA colours. What colour is this? Ooh, it's called Flashy. And it really is flashy. On shorter nails, or even long nails actually, having a bright pop of neon pink. Just wonderful for the spring, especially if you've got quite muted muted makeup, but in fact the colour of the nails picks up on the pink in my eyes and in my lips quite nicely. I like the way I look. I feel playful and open and relaxed. It's only when I'm in slightly different situations that I might feel a little apprehensive. if I, you know, when I do go, I may just pop on a hairband. Now you see, I think that's very natural, low density hair. What is wrong with this, I ask you? You know, you can't really see the grey. I've coloured it in nice and brown. The fringe is nice. It's away from my face. What's the problem? There's no problem.